Looks so beautiful outside. I'll have to get out for a nice walk today.
Excellent. Well, that'll be good. I hope everyone else is good this morning. Good morning, Akil.
Good morning.
Morning, Dougie. Stu.
If this
Morning, morning.
Keithley, let's see, I'll turn this off. Little Elton John for the morning.
I did not go for a jog this morning.
No, I said it was a little Elton John for the morning.
Oh, a little Elton John for the morning. Yes. Yes.
I could do a rendition a cappella if you like.
Dude, this is more appropriate for today.
Tis the season, absolutely.
Time
I'll
for some
never forget.
stampede. There we
You
go.
know, my first summer in Calgary, I was working for Stars, and they made me take the morning off on parade day and go to the parade. They said, "No, you're in Calgary now. You must do this."
Yeah.
So they made me go to the parade and said, "Yeah, just park anywhere. Just put a Stars business card in your windshield. You'll be fine." It's like, oh, okay. It worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, parade day apparently was something I had to be part of to be a
Mhm.
Calgarian. So yeehaw!
Yeah. Yahoo! All right. Well, I hope everyone has had a fantastic week and that we've been able to still continue to have momentum as we enter July. Um, Momentum is built off of everything. And so it's interesting how over the years I watch different agents who come into this business and they start to see success, and all of a sudden they decide, well, I'm going to take a month off in the summer or 2 months off in the summer. And then they wonder why they struggle and they have to push so hard when they get back to try to meet their goals for the year. And, uh, and it's not that it's a bad thing to take time off. It's about having that yourself set up in a way that your business is resilient to when you take those times off and your own self. Because you can end up causing yourself a lot of additional stress and pressure purely because you didn't have a plan for how to have business continuity. And that is so critical when you are your own business. And we have to keep that in mind as we, do this. So it's something that is very critical. Before I get into material for today, anyone have any questions, comments, feedback, or updates on anything that we've covered over the last few weeks already? Crickets. Nobody did anything. Everybody's in stampede mode, ready for lender parties. All right. That's okay. I'll forgive you today, maybe.
Okay, that makes me sad, Keith. Because I get the invitations to the lender parties.
Yes. Well,
I
you get
think
your fair share of things out there that we don't get here. So,
Not Stampede.
not Stampede, though. No, not Stampede. So, today, what I wanted to touch on was the topic of resilience. And it's so important that resilience is seen as not about avoiding the hard things, but it's about what we do to get through them and choosing intentional actions by having that awareness and having a plan for recovery when we hit those those times and those situations in our business when it's not always easy and we have those things that happen. Because being able to understand and acknowledge adversity is so much better than trying to avoid it. So if we pretend that the pressure doesn't exist, how can we ever learn from it and then rise through it so that it doesn't have long-lasting impact on us? So we have to build that strength to respond and recover, rebuild, and rise. And the more that we continue to do that, it's us leaning into the pressure rather than denying the pressure. So think of this process when you have that client that comes and tells you that they've decided to go with a lower rate at RBC, or they've decided to cancel a purchase because of the property, or whatever it might happen to be. But also keep this in mind as you speak to clients, and you maybe have to give them information about their inability to qualify for the amount that they are hoping for. So you can build a framework that's going to help answer these questions for them as well. Who can give me some ideas on how you would frame this thought process to a client when you have to tell them that they can't qualify for the amount that they were hoping for? Dougie.
I very casual about it. I'll use words like, "Hey, we're almost there. This is what we need to work on," instead of saying, "Hey, your file sucks. We're almost there. Yeah, we're almost there, right? You just have to work on these areas."
So,
And that
so when you think about it, so what's their initial response going to be?
it could be shock a little bit. The uncertainty, it can embarrassment sometimes at times, right? So I try to diffuse that feeling of theirs. So it really depends on how I pick up those moments, right, from the client.
I think where agents often fail their clients in this part of the process is that they don't have a plan on how to work through the conversation, considering these four items, these four things. Respond. What is the client's response going to be? How are you going to frame it so that they can recover, rebuild their trust in you, so that they can rise to see what the possibility is? And that's so important, that in our business that we don't give up on the clients because we saw no, that we give them what the possibility is and what the true opportunity is. So I know for myself, I want to be able to go back to the clients with what the possible solutions are so that they have them before going back to them with just the no. And if there is just a no, and that's the way it is, like you said, Doug, then it's a no, and here's how we get there. Because resilience, honestly, it's built, we're not born with it, and not everybody has that internally built in. So for ourselves, we have to have that awareness. Notice when it's happening. When are we not being resilient? Make a choice on how we respond. Are we going to be angry? We're going to be upset? And if we are, how are we going to recover, restore, and reset? We're going to let it just be but for a fleeting moment and then move on and get to the next thing rather than sitting in it and letting it bring us down and figure out what the next intentional action is going to be. What's the next step you need to take to get to the next deal, to get to the next client? What other,
Hey Keith,
yeah, go ahead.
what I find great about the office atmosphere is you can just walk into the next office and ask a question. Is there something else I'm not seeing here? I come to you a lot and say, how would you do this? Because often there's solutions that I don't have. So checking with others before you say there's no solution is really a great way to expand how you help people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that comes down to that part of that is the awareness, right? Just making sure you've got maximum awareness around what is or isn't possible. And sometimes what a client has envisioned in their brain as what's possible is what you become up against. And so you can end up actually being, I don't want to say stuck. You end up having to sit in awareness with them as a client so that they can take the time to notice what's happening. And we often have to do this for ourselves too. So be aware of, be cognizant of that awareness piece and don't try to push too fast past through awareness. Stick with your clients until they're ready to move on. And giving them that choice of how to respond and by feeding them information. Because if we try to get them into recovery too fast, we haven't given them a chance to process and express themselves. And we can do the same for ourselves. We just have to be careful for ourselves. We have to move a little bit faster because we need to restore, reset, and move on. And not sit in our own pity, which is what we will often do. Because resilience is what protects your momentum. There's going to be setbacks in this business. It's inevitable. But it's really your resilience that can keep you focused and moving forward when things get hard. It's also one of the reasons why going to lender events like Join Stampede, for those that are here, if you're not planning to go to any of the available lender events, ask yourself why. Is it purely because of time? Or that you don't know how to maximize those events? Those are chances for you to, one, connect with other agents, but connect with the lenders, but also it can build your resilience because you can build relationships. And when you do have those pressures and uncertainty and setbacks, those relationships can be super critical because being resilient is a choice. It's built through your daily decisions on habits, the language you use, the mindset, how you respond in those different moments. How often do you use the word but or the word however or the word just or the word busy as opposed to thinking about the words you're going to say so that you avoid canceling, things that you say before the but or before the however, or giving yourself credit. I'm just working on this, as opposed to saying I'm in action on this or I'm performing this. We often we often lessen the importance of things we do for ourselves by not giving ourselves credit, and that impacts our resilience. And that's part of the anatomy of resilience and having that awareness and how we have that perspective and actions for recovery so that we build a system of how to respond under pressure. And when we can respond under pressure, we also help our clients with their resilience. It's not pressure that's the enemy, it's unmanaged pressure that is. So when you go into a conversation prepared, you can deal with the challenges rather than eliminate them, and do it in a calm, clear, and intentional manner inside the conversation. Because it's your language, the words you speak become the story. You can say that I failed or I lost another one, or you can choose to learn from it and go, okay, on to the next. Don't let defeat define your direction. And your language is going to define the direction for clients as well. Know that recovery can be intentional. It's not always instant. However, the more you practice it and the more you work with it, the faster that process will happen, so that you can reflect faster, accept it, support, and move on to the next action. And use the community to help. As Richard said, before you feel like it's failed, make sure you reach out and check. There are times when, yeah, unfortunately, there isn't a solution. I'll give you an example. I had an agent from another brokerage reached out to me about getting a mortgage in a small town in Alberta. And I happened to be talking to one of my private investor clients today, and I decided I mentioned it to him. And he's like, oh, you know what? I actually know that town really well. I'd consider it if the property's right. And so I might be able to find a solution purely because I have a community of trusted investors that are able to step up in certain situations and make it work. So this might be something that pulls together. And I'm going to end up helping this other agent to make their client happy. So really lean on the community. And this goes back to the very first session we talked about building and creating a community. But it's not just the community of your people, that your clients, but it's also the community of Enrich Mortgage Group and Mortgage Alliance, and even the broader community of mortgage brokers that you can end up building and helping your business. And then figure out what small practices are going to build your long-term strength. Are you someone who likes to go for a walk, as Michelle mentioned earlier? Do you like to journal? Do you need someone to do a download dump with? Do you pray, meditation, gratitude, or is it just purely, figuring out the next action and talking it through? But you have to build your resilience before crisis arrives. If you try to build your resilience when crisis arrives, it becomes much more difficult. Because when it comes to looking at resilience, you've got to have that repeatable system for staying calm, clear, and intentional under pressure. It's the anatomy of resilience is a 5-step system. It starts with that awareness. Notice what's happening within you. Regulate yourself, steady your response. Don't let yourself get too low, but don't be afraid to feel the frustration or the fear or whatever it is that comes with it. Reframe the moment. Recognize maybe what you could have done differently. Maybe you couldn't have done anything differently. That's just how it happens. And be okay with that. Then take the one right next step to get back on track, so that you can restore and rebuild and get back to business and not end up sitting in pity. Because that language that you use is what shapes your resilience. If you're talking in terms of I failed, or it's happening to me again, I have to I have to get a deal to feed my family, as opposed to a frame different response of I learned that I need to create better communication for my clients, or I need to respond in a different way, have a better plan for them when I do respond. It's happening for me as opposed to it's happening to me. It's happening for me. It could be this is not going. I'm not going to let this happen again. This has happened, and I've learned a lot from it, and it's not going to happen to me again. I've had those. Anybody that's been in this business long enough has had those, and I get to have the opportunity to create the income for my family, to get new clients. I don't have to rely on the one that rate shopped me and then left. When you shift your words, you shift your story from defeat to direction. We want to have a direction forward. So let's turn the framework into practice this week. You can review the things that we've talked about, and don't try to change everything at once if it's something you haven't worked on. Just make a couple of small commitments that are enough to start building your strength. But start now before the next challenge arrives. If it could be a daily reset practice, and maybe it's could be first thing in the morning, maybe it's midday, maybe it's at the end of the day. But identify that one controllable action in your mind that you're not going to let take over your day. It might be as simple as, you know what, when I face a defeat today, I'm going to take some time, whatever it is, 10 seconds, and deep breathe deeply, 30 seconds, whatever it is. Reflect on any of those current challenges and the pressure that you actually feel. Acknowledge the pressure. Figure out what you can control and what a proper resilient response looks like. And then get back to work and get into the next action. You have to close with action. Otherwise, everything else before it really doesn't matter. So remember, respond, recover, rebuild, and rise. Build it in advance through small practices so it's there when you need it. Resilience is the keystone of personal and professional growth, built on one small practice at a time. If you want your clients to be resilient, you have to be resilient as well in how you speak and how you think and how you operate in this business. Thoughts, questions, insights?
You were speaking earlier on how to talk to your client about them not meeting the lending criteria and having to let them down. How do you personally handle it? How would you do it?
Well, part of it depends on what your initial discovery call was with them before you got to the point of, say, doing a pre-approval. What did you cover in your initial discovery call? Were you honest with them in the call when they were giving you information and you were learning about them, to be able to let them know that certain aspects of things that they told you could be limiting in their ability to qualify? Like, for example, they're in a job that has pay plus commission, but they've only had that they started that job, let's say they started that job mid 2024, and they got some commission for 2024. They got a full year of commission in 2025, but they haven't received their commission yet in 2026. Be honest with them about the fact that of how that commission's going to be viewed and applied, even though 2026 will be, maybe a great year for them. How the lender's going to apply that. Did you touch on that in your initial discovery call? Did they say something with regards to hinting about a separation, a divorce, some other property that they co-signed, or a car loan they co-signed, or whatever it is, student loans that they were, or that they had been in school? How many of you forget when they hear someone talks about the fact that they were in school, and you forget to ask them about their schooling? What did they go to school for? Did they end up taking any loans for their school? Oh, if they did, are they in repayment or not? Things like that, important in the first discovery call, really become even more critical in the follow-up call, Michelle, because then you can refer back to your original call and say, as we touched on in our original call when we talked about your student loans, and we talked about your commission, and I completed my review of the documents in the application you submitted, and I've reviewed based on lender policies. Here's how they will look at your income, or here's how they look at that debt, and as a result, here is what is currently possible. And in order for us to increase that qualifying ability, we would need to do A, B, and C. That's how preparing that framework. So going back and reminding them and getting them to acknowledge what you discussed in the first call. Do they remember what you discussed in the first call?
That's right, because sometimes they get so excited that they're on that whole process of buying a house that they kind of forget the obstacles in the way, because there's going to be a few variables that can kind of jump out at you where you're thinking, oh no, okay, we've got to jump this hurdle and that hurdle. And
it could be, the way AHS does their casual employment hires, or the city of Calgary does, or whatever it happens to be. They started working a part-time job as well, but they haven't been there for 2 years, or they work overtime, or whatever it might happen to be. They get Northern Living Allowance. They get, all these things. They see their paycheck and they look at their paycheck in a way different than maybe the lender does. Vacation pay is paid out on each one. Well, vacation pay isn't actual pay, whatever it might happen to be, right? Somebody's on EI. They think that their EI can be used as income, whatever it may happen to be. So that's the importance of being able to reframe things from the original conversation to make sure that they're on side. So doing a little review of the original conversation, especially for first-time home buyers and people who are not familiar with financing, can be really super critical to make sure that you're going into the conversation on the same page.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That builds resilience as well, Michelle, by doing that.
You just get in the habit.
You make their response become more resilient as well by doing that review.
Yeah. And it just helps with the communication, just getting that in practice, especially still being very new in the industry. I think that's a really good point.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Simran, my friend, how are you?
Good, Keith. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, I want to share my experience. I am working on one of the file. So, client had a mortgage with Equitable and need some money to pay off unsecured debt. And so client reached me. Client either wants to get it done like from the prime lender or get him something in the second position. So I tried with Scotia, it didn't work. Then I tried with the Home Trust second position, it didn't work because Home Trust cannot go in the second position under the corporation, under the holding company. So at that point, like rather than going back to the client just saying that no, it didn't work, I keep on talking to different lenders. One option I got is from the Strive. They can Strive, Aspire, Advantage. They can do it. And then I spoke to Equitable, Delish. He said like, why don't you refinance with us only? It's going to be an eternal refinance, and there going to be no penalty for the first mortgage, the existing mortgage. So when I get back to the client with this option, clients are like, okay, my mortgage will stay with Equitable, almost same rate. I am only paying 1% lender fees, no penalty on the first one. So it worked.
Very good. Good for you. And I'll say this, Simran, you would have, a year ago, you would have never worked through that deal in that way.
Yeah, yeah. Because like this time I was like, there could be options, like let's find out and then go back to the client. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm proud of you for having learned from your previous experience to do the research first before going back to the client and responding.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Be
And
proud of that. That's, you may not realize how huge and important that is and will be for you in your business in the future, having just done that and experienced it. So make sure that you give yourself full credit for how you handled that situation.
yes, thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you. And one more thing I want to ask you guys, like let's say you have two clients. One client is like it's very rate sensitive, and just to win that client, you did the full buy down. Versus one client, uh, you feel he's a good client, and he's not asking for any like any rate exceptions or anything. Um, so will you buy down the rate for that client as well, or you will not buy down?
Mm.
Because I am thinking like I don't want like someone come back to me, hey Simran, like uh, I heard from this person he got this rate. My deal looks very similar to him. So yeah, what
Well,
you
so
guys think?
no two deals are necessarily the same, and it doesn't, and you may not necessarily be taking the file to the same even to the same lender for different reasons. I generally don't buy down rates. Like that's just not part of my business. And you are going through a internal dilemma, my friend, with it. I'm going to ask Darnelda on this.
Do I buy
I have
down
my own
rates?
thoughts. I have my own thoughts on it, but I want to ask Darnelda because one,
Mhm.
because of her experience and her knowledge. I want you, how your thoughts are in that. I mean, we've all done it. We've all done it. We've had
Mhm.
the rare ones where we bought it down, but for me, like I said, I don't buy mortgages down.
Mhm.
And your concern is about within the same community that they'll communicate with each other. So Darnelda's in a smaller community. So
Mhm.
Darnelda, please share.
I don't buy down rates. That's not my business practice. I mean, I do for my kids or relatives or that kind of stuff. But I typically do not buy down rates because it's not about the rate. It's about the service that I offer them. And if I value my service, they will too. So I'm not going to, because every file doesn't matter if it's a straightforward purchase. Something always comes up inside of it. You might think, oh, I'll buy this one down because it's going to be easy. It turns out not to be easy, right? And then another one that you think, oh, this is going to be really difficult. It isn't. It actually goes a lot smoother than the others. So it's how much do I value my service, what I'm bringing to the deal. And if I do that, then I'm entitled to be paid for that.
Know your worth.
Know your worth. Exactly. It's your self-worth,
Hmm.
right? Your self-worth.
Hmm.
Irina, I know it. Irina turned her
Hmm.
camera on, so she's got
Oh,
something to say.
I'll show you one other thing. I had a client, a fellow locally. I didn't know him, but he called me. I don't know. This is probably about 6 months ago. He called me and he said, he'd like to work with me as a mortgage broker. I said, great. Like, tell me your story. He said, well, first of all, I'm going to tell you, I'm shopping around amongst mortgage brokers, so I'm also talking to other mortgage brokers. I said, I have to say, I'm not comfortable with that. We're a small community. We know each other. And if you have another mortgage broker that you're working with, go right ahead. He said, okay, well, I'll call you back. I said, well, let me think about it. And I thought about it for a day and I reached out to him and I said, just take me off your list. You've got, two other mortgage brokers you're working with. Choose one of them. We're all good. We're all good at what we do. And I'm not going to compete against, other people in my community.
Yeah. Or
So,
yeah, and that's exactly it. Or asking them, the other way you can reframe some of that a little bit is tell me what's important. Like you've said that you're talking to other mortgage brokers. Tell me what's important to you. And if the number one thing is rate, it's like, well, all all the mortgage brokers you're talking to all have access to the same rates. So outside of rate, what else is important? So Simran, you are going through a natural growth conflict phase in your business and your personal thought. So it's okay. Go ahead, Irina.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some perspective on working in an ethnic community. They all talk to each other, and once you start, buying down rates for some people, everybody will expect you to do that. So it's kind of you have to pick your model up front. You either buy down rates for everybody, because then for people where you don't buy down rate, and then they talk to somebody for whom you bought down the rate. Imagine and especially if it's the same product and same lender and same time frame, and they'll be really upset with you. And yeah, so I only buy down rates when otherwise the deal will not work, or where I'm competing and I know that there is a commitment on the other side. And I always try to, let's say, Scotia used to match in those cases, which was great. Because in that scenario you don't have to buy down, Scotia will just match. But like, more deals you close, more you have to set the rules around these things. And without rules, you will always struggle, because every time it's going to be a complicated decision for you. And yeah, it will just create additional friction in your brain, because every time you'll be conflicted, every time you will not know what to do. And yeah, just set the rules that you don't bound, let's say, because you can have rules that you buy down rates for everybody, and this is what you're known for, and this is why people come to you. Same with realtors. There are some realtors who give cashbacks to their clients on each deal, and that's what they're known for. This is their business model, and this is how they compete. We all have different strengths and what we offer to our clients, and it's okay if you want to compete on the rate, you can. If you want to compete on the service, you can. If you can offer something else, yeah. So everybody is different, but you have to decide for yourself quickly and essentially like set those rules up front, so you don't get conflicted every time.
Yeah. Go ahead, Donalda.
yeah. So another thing is I never tell a client that I've bought down the rate,
No.
right? I never tell them I'm buying down the rate. If they come to me, like, I will say something like, I'll talk with the lender and see what we can do to accommodate your situation.
Yes.
Right? So it's not my decision. That's how it appears to them. It's the lender, right? So, like Irina said, in some cases, Scotia would match the rate. So you go to the lender and you say, here's what I've got. The lender has done that. If I, take 20 basis points and buy it down, the lender has accommodated us. It's always there, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that they're expecting it from me, even though I've maybe given up some of my commission. So it's about
One,
the verbiage as well.
yeah. In the rare instances as well, I've said, let me see if I can get a rate exception request approved by the lender, knowing that one, I will make a request for the rate exception first to the lender before telling them I'll buy down. I'll ask them what they will able to do, and then if I have to, then maybe apply some buy down. Doesn't happen to be very often, but maybe once a year I end up in that scenario. So I'll give you an example with a client that I'm doing a refinance on right now on a rental. And he sends me an email after the weekend. He says, I was talking to an RBC specialist, and he was saying that he could, he's wondering why your mortgage didn't come to RBC, why your broker didn't bring your deal to RBC. And, the rate, RBC has 3.8% variable on a rental, wondering why we didn't go there. And so the response was very easy for me. One is, well, without even saying that we can't deal with RBC, it was your debts. We needed a lender that would work with the debt servicing based on the scenario. RBC wouldn't apply the same income approvals for you being business for self that we got. There was 3 or 4 things. Without me saying that we don't have access to RBC, I just gave him those things. And he was like, oh, okay. And his next question was, oh, so when I go to buy my next rental now for X amount, how is this going to impact me? So he's completely like, okay, I get it. So it's really important. So and that's part of that resilience. I could have responded and just said, yeah, we don't have access to RBC. That's why I didn't go there. As opposed to going through the details of, rental worksheets are treated differently, all these different things. And that would push up your debt servicing, blah, 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 right? Being able to have that shared knowledge and information. It's part of what you have to deal with, Simran, and you won't get this reference. Maybe Dougie and Darnelda and Stu and Akil will, maybe Michelle. There's SNL had a skit for Stuart Smalley. And the saying that he always used to say is, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. And so just keep that in mind as you have that internal conflict. You're smart enough, you're good enough, and you deserve to be paid for what you do. Because, gosh darn it, people like you.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I don't want to, I mean, keep my model like the best rates. Yeah, so because with buying down, like we lose a lot of our commission, and
Yep.
we will be working more hours, more deals, but working more and paying less. No, it won't make sense here.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyone else have anything that they want to?
Kit, regarding the buy down.
Yes, right.
I've seen a video recently on Instagram by a mortgage agent, which got like a lot of views. So what he was trying to say that like people are asking like why I can give like best rates. So he was just telling because he was just telling himself that like because we as a mortgage brokers we can able to buy down. So even if you buy down like completely, we will just make a volume bonus. So which he was happy with, and that's how I can give like lowest rate. So when I got like few calls after this video, like here and there, like they were asking, okay, you can buy down, right? Like I've seen this video, like a mortgage broker saying that like you can give like the lowest rate by giving some of the commission. Still, you earn that bonus and everything. So, uh, so that's kind of tough situation.
So that's where you have to be able to then find out from, you have to be able to dig into the client a little bit and go, okay, I understand that. Tell me, I'd love to learn a little before we address that. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. Find out what they do. What do they do for work? What's their background? Oh, okay. Oh, oh, you, you're an auto mechanic. Ah, oh, you own your own shop. Mhm. Yeah. So, um, do you, do you, would you be willing to, I'd love to bring my car and get you to service my vehicle. I'm just wondering, will you buy that down, buy down your rate for me so that I don't have to pay any hourly service fees if I bring my vehicle to you? Like there's ways it wouldn't be that fast in the conversation, but there's ways you can reframe conversations, Rudd, that you can learn how to dig into people's minds first before you respond to their question that they're asking or statement they're making. Asking about my buy down, about me and my ability to buy down, that's a great question. However, there's a number of factors that go into even being able for a lender to even consider or be able to look at a lender getting an exception to be able to do that. Do you mind if I ask you some questions to find out a little bit more about you and your situation so that I can even understand whether that would even be an option for you? Because one lender that allows this buy down might not be a lender they can qualify with. Maybe it's another lender where it has a lesser buy down or has initial higher rates. And even if you do buy down, you're still not going to be able to compete. So you need more information.
Not only that, it's just, I mean, there's a lot of cost to being a broker too. I mean, we're always taking courses and upgrading and learning and the cost that it is to run our business.
Yeah,
We have to keep that in mind. And
absolutely.
we deserve to be paid what we are being paid because we have that education.
Absolutely.
And that's why they're coming to us. And so, yeah, you are going to get somebody here and there that are going to be pushing and pushing. And you know what? It's okay to let them go.
Yeah. It's
It's
okay to say
okay.
no.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is.
okay to say
Yeah.
no. And the more you say no, the
Yeah.
less you will attract those people.
And they'll respect you, I think, more.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're not like, okay, we're a Kmart brokerage, let's go get the best deal, or a Walmart brokerage. We got to hold ourselves more professional.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
part of doing that is by not too bidding ourselves down. I mean, you pay a lot of money every year just to keep your license, and you're paying the brokerage, and you're paying all the stuff that you need to run your business. And like I said, education. So don't let anybody to bet you too down on
Yeah.
that. It's okay to let them go.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Doug.
Donalda had her hands up first. Go ahead, Donalda.
Okay, I was just going to say that, we have lenders sometimes. So when we take a client, we try to find them the best rate with a good lender, right? That's what we do. And I think we all look at where can we get them the best rate? And then if there are some lenders who have the same rate, we look and compare them. If they're exactly the same, then we choose the one who'll give us the most pay. But we find the best rate first. Like Strive just had a fabulous deal last month, right? I didn't have a client that fit, not what they're doing. So I took them to other clients. I didn't, or other lenders. I didn't take them there because I got paid more,
Yeah.
right? I found the best lender for them. And then I choose, what I get out of that.
Rate, then service, then pay is kind of generally, I think, the flow that most go through. Dougie, go ahead.
So, I've spoken to a lot of different agents, mostly new agents. A lot of agents come up and say, "Hey, Doug, I want to offer or buy down the rate because I want to make the realtor happy. I want to make the client happy because client has friends that they'll refer back." So that's a very, very common mindset that new agents have. How would you advise them if you do encounter this sort of, mindset, right? I want to make my
That kind of
realtors
mindset from the
happy.
agent, you mean?
From the agent, yeah. So how do I reply if I'm, let's say, their coach, right? And they come up to me? Because my response has always been, it's
Know
your
your
business,
self-worth.
try it out.
Know your self-worth. What is your self-worth? How much time did you put into becoming licensed? How much money did you put into becoming licensed? Know your self-worth. Respect your self-worth and value your self-worth.
Mhm.
And have resilience in being able to respond to questions about rate. And we always do our best to try to get the best product for the client based on their situation. What that rate will be can vary based on each client's situation. So we can't guarantee rates the same as if you're talking to a realtor, the same as you can't guarantee the sale price of a house. A 3% drop in the sale price of a house from the list price costs a client a heck of a lot more than 0.2% on a mortgage.
Thanks, Keith.
So,
Yeah,
Mr.
I just
Realtor,
think
when
just,
you
yeah,
sell the client's house for 100% of the list price, then we'll talk about
yeah, that's right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Again, about professionalism, know your
Mhm.
worth. And if they continue to drop the rate on every customer they think because they're panicking, thinking, "Oh, I got to get a customer, I got to get a customer," that's what they're going to tend to get, and you get stuck in that spiral. And you're
It's
going to
the
get
fear.
very difficult jobs that take you a long time to get through a file, and you're not going to get paid for it what you should be paid. So I would discourage from that. Your job is not to worry about what you're getting paid. Your job is to look for the best rate for the customer and the best fit.
Money creates the greatest fear often, right? And as a new agent trying to generate income, that is 100% in the back of the mind, or maybe in the forefront of the mind. And you may not even recognize and realize that that's the place from which you're making those decisions. Well, thank you everyone for being here today on this first Friday of the Calgary Stampede. Have yourselves an amazing weekend.
Who
And
who all is coming to RFA event tonight?
there's Strive today, there's RFA, there's Glass Lake. So,
And Wealth One, is anyone going to that one?
that's Wealth One's today or tomorrow?
No, today, I think, two.
Yeah,
We have so many. There's
so
four.
many. Yeah.
Yeah, Stu will
La
yeah,
la la.
yeah,
I,
yeah. I know.
Ronaldo, we can talk about the wonderful things
Keith,
we're doing this weekend too.
Yeah.
Keith will drink for you.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a pottery prowl this weekend on the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Sunshine
Cool.
Coast has the highest per capita artisans in Canada,
Yeah.
right? So there's
And
yeah.
marijuana.
Sorry?
And marijuana too.
Yeah, well, there's quite a bit of that here too, yeah. Yeah, you can smell it when you drive down the street sometimes.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Everyone, have yourselves a fantastic weekend. For those of you in Calgary, hopefully I'll see you this afternoon somewhere along the road.